Hey everyone, welcome to Adobe Live this week. Today we have a very special guest all the way from Malaysia. Welcome, Rames.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are going to get started today and we are going to look at, Rames is going to show us a bunch of things in Photoshop.
Yep.
Show us some tips, tricks, very exciting. We can already see there's heaps of people in the chat already. Thank you so much for joining us. Special shout out to everyone joining from Malaysia.
Yep.
Very exciting. I think your sister's here.
Yeah, she's here. Giorani.
So welcome to the chat. Please send us through your questions today. I'm sure we're going to have heaps for Rames, so definitely want to make sure we get through all of them. If you haven't logged in already, you can do so on the Adobe Live. I guess there's a button at the top there. You can use your Adobe ID for that. Otherwise, if you're joining us on YouTube, we'll also see the questions there, so feel free to add them to the chat and we'll get to those too. All right.
Yeah.
Shall we get started?
Yeah.
Why don't you begin by giving us a little bit of an idea of, for those who aren't familiar with your work and who you are, give us a bit of a sense of your background, how you got started, what you do.
That'd be great. Hi, my name is Rames. I'm a digital artist from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And I've been using Photoshop for past 16 years. So let me quickly show you guys something.
Yep.
Yeah. So let me just brief through what I do. And these are some of my stuff. So it's very heavy when it comes to the Photoshop usage of it. Like literally, it's just me, spending 4 to 5 hours every single day. I think it's very important for me to create something new or literally learn, because I practice every single day, right? So these are the creation I've done so far. And right now I'm trying to explore more into the Hindu mythology, and I'm trying to recreate all the goddesses in the form of babies, because I think not many people have experienced it or have seen it. So I think it's nice to use Photoshop and then use my imagination, infused together to just showcase some of it, because I think from the messages that I'm getting, literally people are kind of amazed. And then they will do so many things out of the image that I've created, literally like phone covers, screensavers.
Wow.
It's so nice to see that. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. It's very, very nice for me to explore on this, because it's kind of like connected, because I'm being brought up in a Hindu family. So it's always nice to see and then do that and then share my imagination with everybody.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
How did you get started in Photoshop?
Wow, that's a long story short.
Yep.
So back then, 16 years ago, when I done studying in business, after I graduate, I kind of found out that that's not really my passion. Yeah, and then slowly I kind of think back a few years before. I remember sitting down sketching, and then love watching all these science fiction movies. And then whenever I go and watch movies, and especially superhero movies, I'll try to re-imitate the pose that I have. I was just thinking, what if I'm the superhero? So I'll go back home and I'll ask my sister to actually, can you take a couple of shots of me posing, and then I'll try to take all these pictures, import it to Photoshop, and then start to manipulate from there. And then as days goes by, and I find out that, great, I've been superheroes, but I don't see any new concept in it. It's superheroes everybody know already. So maybe I should create something new out of this. So that's when I start exploring stock images and then put them together. And then I didn't know back then it's called photo manipulation. And then once I merge all these 5 different photos together, and then again changing color balance and whatnot, and then it forms as a new photo, and then it has a new message to it, and then there's a concept for it. And then once I share or show to my friends, they literally kind of mind blown. It's like, are you sure this is not a one picture thingy? And then are you sure it's all been bundled up together as one, like from different stock photos? And then I was like, that's and then I start sharing the behind the scene. I think it's very, very important to showcase it to people, because I love sharing, and I think it's a great platform for me to share some of stuff that I've done back then. It's for me, I want people to grow as well. So it's nice to show them behind the scenes so that they will learn something new every day.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we've got a whole hour of behind the scenes, which is very exciting.
Yes.
Very cool. All right. Well, everyone who's joining the chat, welcome. Hi to Ruben, who sits next to you in the office.
Yes, my colleague.
You've got all your fans joining. Cool. Well, why don't you get started by showing us what we'll be looking at today?
Sure. So today I'll be sharing with you guys this manipulation that I've done for Adobe. It's called the Adobe On Color campaign, and I think it's pretty awesome because it kind of like have this one Malaysia thingy in one photo. So let me just show you guys an indicator. What are these? So from top, you can actually see those are the Mount Kinabalu over here, and then there's Hornbill, Wow, Petronas Tower. So this Wow is actually a traditional spot, and then Petronas, obviously the one of the tallest building in Malaysia. And then slowly, if you go down, you get to see the Putra Mosque, and then that's at Putrajaya, and then you have endangered animals like tapir and the Malayan tiger. And then I like how I infuse all the different cultures of Malaysia because Malaysia is so rich in cultures and the diversity of it. And then I also have Lord Murugan. It's one of the longest and the tallest statue in Malaysia. And then I have the Christ Church in Malacca. And as you can see, it's actually the summarized version of Malaysia in one photo manipulation. So, and me being there trying to play with my childhood game, it's called Gassing. So it's nice. So I remember when Adobe approached, and then they said, hey, did you like to collaborate? And I was like, yeah, sure, Adobe On Color, let me see. So growing up in Malaysia, seeing all these colors, I think it would be nice to just highlight them through subjects than just play around with colors, because each of this literally means a lot. Me growing up, and for me to highlight every single subjects from all the part of Malaysia is something special. And based on the comment and messages that I'm getting, they're really liking it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's such a colourful, I guess, place. So
Yeah,
why not
yeah.
highlight the colour of
Correct.
that place through
Yeah.
just one image?
Yeah.
It's done an amazing job. It's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Why don't you have a little, I guess, get into how you created that as well?
Yeah. So before I start, so this is the process that I'm going to go through today. Basically start with composition, literally take all the images, put together, and then we're going to go jump into color correction. As you can see here, the colors are all different from the on the left-hand side of your screen. And I'll try to bump up the hue, and then next move on to the adding shadows and lights and whatnot, so that it looks like a 3D and it's like popping up from the screen itself. And also another reason why I did this is because I want it to look like 3D-ish, and you can't fit everything in one screen. Once you give this depth of images popping up from screen, it kind of gives you a different feelings to it. So yeah, that's the reason why I did this, and these are the process that we'll go through today. In case, again, this took me 6 to 7 hours, I need to mention, but I'll try to squeeze and show you guys how I've done this stuff in 1 hour or so. And then if not, no worries, I do have tips and tricks to show later on.
Perfect. Amazing.
Awesome. So let's get started.
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna just start by creating a blank canvas. Since it has to be wide enough, but then height has to be taller than the width, and I'll start with a blank canvas. And I also have the libraries ready for me, because this is one of the longest manipulation I said, right? I need to crop all these images out, so I'm sure 1 hour is not enough.
I suppose that would be where most of those 6 hours went. in
Yes,
terms of
yes,
cutting out
literally,
everything.
yeah, 1 to 2 hours literally to just get all the images cut
And where
out.
have you got these images from?
These are all from Adobe stocks,
Yeah.
and I also have other stock sites like Unsplash and whatnot. Yeah.
Unsplash is such a great resource to find
Yes,
like, really
yes,
good
indeed.
images
Yeah.
that are free.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start off by having this phone over here.
Do you start by sketching at all?
Here's the thing, right? At times I do, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
I rather use. So the thing is, whenever I got an idea, I got it in a visual form, and it's usually the output of it. So this is how the manipulation gonna look like, and I will work towards that. Then me sitting down, sketching, try to find out what idea I should do and whatever not. So I think that saves time for me. Yeah,
That's cool. I mean, I think everyone works in different ways.
that is correct.
So you got to just go with the one that works.
That is
best for
correct.
you.
Yeah. I think there's never a right or wrong. I think it's all depending on your style. Yeah. Okay, I've placed the galaxy at the back. So I'm going to slowly put in the Mount Kinabalu. Let me place on top of the layer.
We have someone in the chat who says that they're your biggest fan.
Really?
Shout out to Fariz.
Faris, wow, he's my manager back in the office.
It's really good to have a manager who's also your biggest fan.
Yeah, he used to
Make
work.
life easy.
Yeah, he's one of the funniest guy over there. And then that's done. So of course we need clouds, and then there. Is I think composition it's very important to know that how your artwork will look like at the end. Even before cutting, that's what I do. I usually just put it on top of each layer, reduce the opacity so that I can actually see how the final output gonna look like than me just cutting it out, out of nowhere. So that once you place it layer by layer, you know that's the output that you want. So it's always nice to do that.
So you're kind of starting quite loose at the moment.
Yeah,
And then you can refine.
That is correct. So there's some stage that you have to go through. That's that. And then I would like to add the fireworks.
Do you ever take your own images?
I do. I used to take a lot of pictures, and they are always in landscape mode. And then I do use it, but then I find it at times the angles and the right picture might not be there. So thank God to all the stock photos sites, I can get whatever image that I want.
I suppose if you're trying to find things like tigers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot easier to find.
Yeah, it's like to go to the zoo and then to take that right position. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So in order to remove black background, stuff like that, you just use screen, so you don't have to crop it out. And obviously, removing black background from images like this will take time. And then and if you zoom in, if you get to see all this, I'll say dirts, and then an easy way to remove it is by just Control L, levels, and then you get to see how I've done that one. And then there's there, and then I would like to add in the hornbill. Hornbill is one of the famous bird in Kuching, Sarawak. And it's I think it's and also one of my colleagues' hometown, so it's kind of like very personal. And he kind of tagged me. He's like, "Oh, thank you for highlighting that because it's always been forgotten."
Have you ever seen one?
Yeah, I've seen the one in the zoo,
Yeah.
and I've been to Kuching, Sarawak, but then I think they can only be found in forests. Yeah.
It's kind of nice you can sort of create, especially when you've got an image like this where you've got all these little things, little moments that are personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Really
it kind of like I said, right, growing up in Malaysia, get to see all this, right, with your own eyes, and then putting it all together in one layout. I'm thinking of photo montage. I don't think so the output will be that amazing. So I think by cropping out like this, and then there's a story to it. It starts from the top, where Gunung Kinabalu is one of the highest mountains in Southeast Asia. It's in Sabah. So it's always nice to just highlight it like this, and then to my follower, it's kind of like educate them what is Malaysia about. That's that. And then let me put in KLCC. That's one of the tallest tower we have.
This is making me want to go to Malaysia.
Yay! Do come over. So I have that. So I like how the object's popping out from the screen so that it's not sitting inside the phone. So that I create that 3D-ish. And then you need to mask it, so I'll just highlight the part that I want.
What was the thinking with having the phone as part of, I guess, the frame?
Oh, yeah, I have an idea behind that. The reason why I choose phone screen is because it's also to show to my friends who's in abroad. For example, almost all my followers are on Instagram. And I think most of people do view that content through Instagram, and it's usually phone, right? So I think it's nice when they see it through the phone as if like everything is popping up from there. So that's the concept behind it. Then that, I'm gonna just position the wow. This is one of the it's called Wow, literally WAU. This is one of the traditional spot that's usually played by the Malay friends.
What does it involve?
It is just a traditional game that they have. So I think there's a competition who can fly the furthest and who create the most creative design out of this. Yeah.
They're very beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
Do they sort of change from like region to region, or?
Well, I think it's all depending on the creativity. I think it's up to them in whichever way that they want it to be. Yeah. That's that, and I'm gonna slowly go to the mosque. No, I'll just get the tower first. This is our KL tower, like the one we have it here in Sydney.
Very similar.
Yep. I'm gonna put it here. again, as you can see, I'm not doing any color balance yet. Just me trying to do the composition, and then yeah.
Because you don't really want to get ahead and do colors until you've sort of finalized.
That is correct. Yeah, it's very important so that you are happy with the composition once you're done, and then you dive into color correction, because it will take so much of time if you were to go in and edit one by one. Yeah. That's that, and then let me just get the mosque. And also, it's nice to see the different religions coming together in one image.
Yeah, very diverse.
Yeah, very diverse. That's that, and I would like to take the church.
Guys, keep your questions coming in the chat. We definitely have heaps of time, so don't hold back. Vesta says these images are astonishingly great.
Thank you so much.
I think half the job would be like picking the images that you
That
think
is
are
correct.
right.
Yeah,
You'd probably spend hours doing it.
Indeed. Yeah, I think it depends on your canvas as well, or the idea that you have. Probably if you want to look for a person who's talking this way, there are times where I find designers try to rotate that picture this way, and then it doesn't work, right? Because there are certain angles of a human face that we all know that when you rotate that person, it doesn't look natural. I think in terms of that, manipulation helps a lot, where you can distort or change the face and whatever not to get the right photo. Yeah. Wow, and then this is Lord Murugan statue. This is one of the tallest in Malaysia. It's at the Batu Cave. Not sure if you heard it. It's where you have 272 steps to go to the temple area. Yeah, so this statue will be in front of the entrance.
Is it all in sort of like a gold material?
Yeah, from what I heard, the paint was imported from Thailand, because back in Thailand, all the statues will be in like gold tinted. So I think that's the reason why they use the Thailand paint. Literally, it will be like glowing at night. Yeah, it's so nice to see. Put it here.
I love how like you've got all these little pops of color.
Yeah, different ones, and you'll be amazed how it looks like once I bump up the hue and change the color balance for each, and literally the 3D will trying to pop up here. Yeah.
So you're just kind of going through and just finding the right position for each of these.
Yeah. So that I can showcase everything in one picture without overlapping. Overlapping is good as long as it can be seen by people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Then we're gonna go for the Tianhao Temple. This is the Chinese temple. Very, very famous in India. From Malaysia, where you get to see people getting married here. Taking photos for their pre-wedding photo shoots and stuff.
Yeah, so colorful.
Yep. So even though it's hiding the moss, you don't have to worry, because I will be doing the masking later on. Yep. And then I'm gonna start importing the lion dance. It's also one of the colorful things in Malaysia. So usually during the Chinese New Year, you get to see this a lot.
Are there lots of festivals in Malaysia?
Yes, like so many for each month, and I think it's nice to just experience them, because you learn how other people, how other people's culture is. You kind of appreciate it, and again, it's since we are all united as one country. We never differentiate so much. Like, for example, you are here, you are that person, this person. Any celebration, we gather together, stuff like that. I even seen an Indian guy playing lion dance. See, he's no longer into Chinese. It's about the diverse.
So nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite one?
Favorite one? If I were to, definitely, I think Thai Buddhism is cool. It's celebrated at Batu Caves. So a lot of people gather, and then they do prayers. And I think it's very close to my heart, because being brought up in a Hindu family, and then you can see literally photographers around the world, Malaysians, Chinese, Malay people coming together just to watch the ceremony and festival. I think it's always nice. That, and I'm gonna just mask this very quickly.
We had a question who was just, I think from Festus, was wondering if are those lanterns on the temple there?
Yeah. So during Chinese New Year, during normal days, they usually hide all the lanterns inside their temple, and during Chinese New Year, they literally put it up,
Okay.
and then it's just amazing. It's just glowing. It's all like glowing in red color, and it's just mesmerizing to see that. Yeah.
You're doing a great job of selling Malaysia to me. I'm booking a trip there as soon as we get out of this.
Yeah, it's okay. So I just crop that in. I'll do some adjustment over here. And the food, I have to talk about the food.
Please talk about the food. It's one of my favorite topics.
Yeah, and we have like amazing spicy food, non-spicy food, and like level of spiciness can get really high up until you can't even take it. But then, yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's just experiencing it. Yeah.
Is there quite a lot of diverse types of food there as well?
Correct.
Like the culture?
Because of the different culture. So we have obviously for Indian people, they are more towards spicers and curries and stuff. And then we are known for this outings called banana leaf. Like you just go to restaurants, order banana leaf, you get like a banana leaf with a rice and all different dishes around the rice. There's also a meaning behind it why they decorate the banana leaf such way. They say life, it should consist of sad happiness and everything else so that you appreciate life, right? So it's nicely done there in banana leaf. And then for Chinese people, it's so nice where you get to have all these noodles, right? That's that. And then Malay people, obviously we had our breakfast, it's called nasi lemak. It's basically a rice. That we call it like nasi lemak literally means fat rice. And then we have like peanuts, and then we have like a dry fish, and then we have cucumber, and then it's also decorated around the rice. And you can, I think it's one of the Malaysians' favorite breakfasts.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it is. The first thing I'm gonna do once I landed in Malaysia is that one. I'm gonna eat that. And then slowly I'm gonna add in right below the phone. It will be the grass area.
There was just a question about what you used to get rid of the background of the fireworks. I think someone missed that. So that was using the...
Oh, yeah, sure. I can do that again so that you get the idea. Yeah. So as you can see, it was normal, right? So screen, what it does is that whichever object that you have black background, it will remove immediately, just like that, screen. You can see the different settings for each of the layers. So screen is something that I use almost all of my stuff because, and then some of the stock images were taken in a black background. For example, this cloud was taken, it's a PNG file, but it has a black background. So in order to remove that, I'll just use screen. So it saves a lot of time.
I was wondering how you did that because I was looking at that cloud thinking that's very well done.
Yeah, exactly. So it has a black background. The thing is, the stock image comes with that. So I assume it's also being used in film production. Since they use all this green screen and stuff, I think the black background does remove there as well.
Yeah, I think it has to be almost purely black.
That is correct. Yeah, even if it's not, it's okay. With levels, we can correct it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna just remove the other part of the thing like that.
I'm amazed at how many layers are going into this.
Oh wow, that's like
when I looked at the first image.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was this many.
There's a lot. And then I'm going to slowly go to the tiger.
I think it makes you appreciate it more because I think the more you look at it, the more you realize there's like a lot of depth to it.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you have fun making this?
Yes, a lot. Again, I like to use my wife to review my work. Reason because she's a PhD holder. But then even though I'm a designer, at times you feel like, oh my God, this is the greatest work ever. You don't want to do that because, like people like my wife will see them in a different angle and she will usually just correct me. She will just say, hey, I don't think so. It looks right. For some reason, I feel this way. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Because I think these are the feedbacks that we need to improvise ourselves because we are seeing it from the creative side, but not as the like ordinary people, right?
Yeah. I mean, we do that a lot in like UI and UX sort of stuff. We test and we talk to people a lot, but
Correct. User testing is very
user testing.
important.
But I don't think it gets talked enough about in like other things and other types of design. But I think it's so useful.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, at the end of the day, they are the one gonna see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that they like it before we release it. Yeah, understand it. Yeah, that's where design wins. I feel. Yeah.
Can you explain to me this animal in the bottom left?
Yeah. So it's
I've never seen one before.
Okay, it's tapir. They eat ants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The reason why I want to incorporate tapir and Malayan tigers because they are endangered animals, and then it's always nice to also when I show it to people when people ask. You need to start to appreciate them because I think they're no longer there anymore. Like they are dying and stuff. I think it's nice to just showcase that and to educate people. Yeah. So I'm gonna remove that mark here. So I have 33 minutes. No worries. I have a lot of tips and tricks. I think I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely plenty of time.
Yay.
Plenty of time for questions too. Keep sending them through.
Keep asking questions. I love to answer all of it. And then we're gonna have some leaves I have here. So that's like popping out. Again, I'm not doing no color correction. It's just masking, trying to make sure everything's in the proper place. And then I'm gonna add in the other plant. The back of tapir. Again, Malaysia known for rainforest as well, so that's the reason why I add all these plants.
Yeah, very tropical.
Yeah.
I think it really helps with the vibrancy of the colours.
That is correct. Green, colorful stuff.
You almost got like a sort of rainbow happening.
Yeah. For some reason, it's trying. I see that, even though it was not intentionally done that way.
Yeah, I think generally though, it makes the whole piece feel really balanced. It's really nice.
That's correct. That because of the tiger is trying to pop up from the screen, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just click on the tiger, mask it, and remove this part of the leg so that it looks like it's trying to walk up from the screen. Again, any brush will do. I'm using a very textured brush because the body of tiger is literally has a lot of hair and stuff, so it's because of the fur. Yep, that's fine. Let's go back to tapir.
Do you ever use a Wacom for the brushwork?
Yeah, I do use pen that comes with the Z-book. But at times, if I'm working really fast or if I were to do sketching and stuff, that's when I flip the whole Z-book and then do my sketching in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's like holding a pen and a paper.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, in case you don't know, you can actually flip this. Just like that.
Yeah, I've been watching because you've been doing zooming in and stuff on touchscreen.
Yeah.
It makes it like very.
Yeah.
Looks like it's super easy to do that.
Because unlike any other laptops, you like if I have to zoom in, I'll literally need to go to the magnifier, click on it, zoom in, and then use the other hand to do all the shortcuts. Here, literally, if I want to zoom in anywhere, I just zoom in like that, and then mask it. Let's say, for example, this one is trying to walk out, so I'll just mask here, like that, and it's easy. And then if you want to zoom out, it's as fast as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then let's see, let me see if I missed out anything. Grass is there. Of course, I've forgotten one main object. That's myself. The reason why I put myself in a photo manipulation, especially this one, is because I want it to look very personal. Yeah, and it's always nice to have that kind of touch, I think, in your work, so that at the end of the day, whatever we create is very emotional based. Like there's a reason why I put this here. There's a reason why, and concept is also very important, so that it's easier to explain to people that why the reason behind it than just beautiful pictures all over. And then when people ask you what is this, it's nice, it's beautiful. You don't want to do that. Yeah.
How did you get that photo of yourself?
Wow, it's taken by my wife, Jamuna. So what happened is that knowing that I'm going to do this collaboration, I was thinking of the concept, and once I got it, before I got married, when I was single, obviously my sister is the one who helped me out. And then now that I'm married, I have my personal assistant, which is my wife. She's so kind. She was like, just do whatever you want, whatever pose, I'll keep taking. And then, usually it's like, I already have that vision in my mind. I know, like for example, this particular pose was taken like maybe less than 3 shots. Yeah. And then I'm going to place the gussing.
So what's this part?
Okay, gussing, it's my childhood games that we play at school and then at home where I grew up. Basically, you have like a rope that you will tie at the side of gussing, and you need to literally throw it to the ground like as fast as you can so that it spins.
Yep.
And if you're good enough with the rope, you can literally twist it underneath. There's actually a very thin nail underneath.
Yep.
It's not so sharp. So you can actually take it, throw it up, and you can put it into your palm.
Wow.
So it will still rotate. So it's a very nice game. And people get creative, people will draw on top of it so that it's very personalized. So you have a gussing that's different from other people. Yeah.
Do you still play it now?
No, I wish I have.
You got to teach your daughter.
Yeah, I think I should, because literally she will grow up and ask me, what's that you're holding? So I need to do that. Yeah.
Carry on a tradition.
Yes, it's a must. That's that. I think I have done using every single component that I want. Hibiscus, there. Hibiscus is our national flower.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so it's also very. It's something that I grew up studying, listening to it like many times. So it's so nice to have it here, and I want to have it beside the tiger. Reason is because, tiger can be fierce and whatever not, but the flower is there. It's very how they say, it's very fragile. So it's two different contrasts. Yeah. I want it to be there. So that's the reason why I put it there. There you go. We kind of have the whole layout here. Let me just check. Great. I have one more. Last but not least, the orangutan. It's also very known in Asia. They are very, very tame animal. They're very fragile, and they look very kind for some reason. I think that's the right word. They're very kind looking animal. And then I want the branch to pop out from the side of the screen, just like that. And then I'll just mask it very quickly. There you go. And I also have some leaves. He's trying to play with some leaf and popping up from the...
So much detail.
Yeah. I love working on the detail stuff because I think it's important to see how passionate you are in your work, right? Again, it depending on the concept of art, when you give so much of details like this and there's a story behind it, I think it's very important for people to relate to. Yeah. I have one there, and I want to duplicate that quickly. Rotate it as if the leaf is fall down to the ground. And I press Control and just do some distort here. And then the top here is like, it's like the ecosystem stuff,
I think that really helps as well in terms of getting, I guess, the dimension. Make it feel a little bit, you can see there's the ground there.
Yeah. There you go. I think I'm gonna done. Okay, next I'm gonna go in, dive in to change the colors. As you can see here, the color of this stock image is not the same as the mosque. So I had to make sure that everything look vibrant. So that's the next step. So since there's two wow here, so I think it's nice to just change one of the colors. So this is what I'm gonna do. Click on the layer and I press Ctrl U. That's when the hue and saturation comes up. So by sliding the hue, you get to see the wow changes its color to whichever color that you like. So I want to go for red. I think it's a nice color over there. And of course, kite, you need the thread. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go up quickly, create a new layer called thread. And then I'm going to use the pen tool and just draw as if it's...
Nice.
It's coming up from the screen, just like that. Then move it up a little. Of course, we need for the other one. I'm going to scroll down. I just created a duplication of the thread. I'm going to press Shift, Command T for the transform. And I'm going to reuse that. And as you can see, it's clashing with the mosque. It's okay. You can always drag your layers up and down. So it'd be nice to have it right at the bottom of the mosque. Just like that. And then if you find the angle is not right, you can always twist the wow, like that. Perfect. Okay, now let's begin changing all the color. And then I want to give a mood out of this KLCC. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to press Control L for the levels. So that I've darkened it a bit, as you can, so that the, if not, it's fighting with the Mount Kinabalu. I think it's nice to have that depth here like that. And then I'm going to, for the Mount Kinabalu, I would like to use the adjustment, brightness and contrast, and then reduce so that it has that night mode, knowing that there's a galaxy at the back. You know, it's the Milky Way kind of thing. That's that. And then I'm going to I want to try to separate or try to have a depth in between the mountain and KLCC. So I'm going to create a new layer, right click on it, create clipping mask. This will be actually a gradient. Okay, I'll show you guys how I do that one. So I literally will pick a color that I like. It's a bit like this, and then I will just do that so that you can see the detailing of KLCC will pop up.
Yeah, much clearer.
Much clearer. So that's that. Move down, mask. Of course, I need to Control L to just make it a bit contrasty, like that. You can see the difference here. So that's important. That, and then I want to bump up the color a bit. So Control U. Throughout the manipulation, this is the color correction that I'll be doing. So basically play with levels, hue and saturation. And then you increase the hue. There's a Kel Tower, same thing, I go to levels, increase the contrast. And then the church, Control U, bump up the saturation. Lord Murugan statue, Control U, increase the saturation, and then with levels so that it has that 3D feel to it. That's the difference, if you can see. So I'm not going to go so much, just a bit will do. Okay, then going down, I need to brighten up Tian Hao Temple. So I will use the image adjustment, brightness, so you can see the colors start to pop up. Yeah. That, and then going down, I think the line dance is perfect. We don't have to do anything there. Yeah, very vibrant already. And then the tiger, little contrast. Increase the saturation first. There you go. And then
Libby in the chat is getting a bit anxious that you haven't saved your work yet.
Really? Oh, it's okay. With ZBook, everything's fine.
It's all right. I was feeling that as well.
Really? Okay.
I
Don't
think
worry, have a backup.
when there's so much going on, you sort of like, it's like muscle memory. You want to just quickly do.
Yeah, I do that. Probably because I'm live right now. I just want to make sure everything's okay. But it's okay. I think depending on you, at times they have this auto recovery thing that you set on Photoshop. I think that saves a lot of time.
I remember using that when I was younger, and they didn't have autosave, and it was the worst.
Oh, wow.
You could spend hours doing something and just disappear.
Okay, I'm kind of happy with this. Let's go ahead and create the lightings. So I'm going to go just at the bottom of the phone. So if that's the phone, at the bottom, I'm going to create the lights so that it so that it looks like there's a glow. And this shadow, so that it literally looks like a 3D thingy. So I will choose a color from swatches, maybe this one here. Then I'll just increase my cursor, change the brush to something soft, but not so much of flow. And then like that. And then I'm going to reduce that one.
We've got a few people asking some questions in the YouTube chat. I'm just, Pratish is wondering where you get your inspiration from when you're starting these things out.
Wow, inspiration. Okay, I do get that a lot. I think inspiration is not something you need to look for. I think it's always around you. It's always been. It's about seeing things in a different perspective, right? So, for example, if I were to put a box in front of you, right in front of your eyes, right? Literally, you get to only see the rectangular of the box. imagine try moving it aside. You get to see the whole box, right? That's how you should see things, rather than just one side of the angle. When you start seeing different angles, your mind will automatically trigger, and it's like, oh my god, there's actually another view. So I guess that's what I practice all the time. When I create my manipulation, I feel like people will literally need to do that. Because seeing it from one angle, and then you kind of like have this mind blockage saying that, oh, I don't think so, I can be creative like this person. That's wrong, because I think you've been looking at one thing at one angle.
I think it just makes it unique to you as well. Like, you know, you might say, oh, go look on this, go look on Behance, or go look at these other places. Sometimes I find that really overwhelming, because you're like, everyone's got their own thing going on. Right. It's really good. But if actually you're just trying to look at the world a bit differently through your own eyes.
That is correct.
You're going to get a unique view.
Yeah. I think it's the same for the photographers, right? Like, oh, I have the same camera. How come I'm not getting that particular composition? Is because when you seeing it differently, you get to show to the world, this is how I see things, and then that photographer will be known because he's keep seeing stuff that we don't see. Yeah,
wow. Really good.
And then the glow that coming out from the screen, I'm gonna do this. So imagine having this is what I imagine. You're in a dark room, you have a phone, you put it right on the table. Of course, the glow have to come out from the side. So that's what I'm trying to do. By pressing Control, you get to tilt like that, and then pulling out at the edge. Just like that. Cool. And then if you think the background could be any darker, so that increase the contrast, you can do that. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just increase the decrease the brightness of my whole background so that you can see the difference. There you go. So this was before and after.
Nice.
Cool. And then now I'm gonna start adding shadows. Let me start with the tiger.
Do you sort of study anything around lighting or photography to know?
No, I don't. That's the thing. Since I'm a business student, okay, this is something that this design is something that I found later on after graduate. I think probably studying and seeing things differently triggered me to become a designer, because whatever I see, you know, I feel things can look better, and kind of triggered me. Maybe I'm the one who should fix things, and then that's how I think I became a designer. I think it's like I said earlier, when you start seeing things differently, people will try to imitate you. Which is good, I think, and it's okay to imitate, because you're literally learning, right? That's life, I think. You learn from things, and you're constantly learning. I think there's another thing that I would like to share with all the people out there. If you want to get good at something, please lock down a few hours in a day. I don't believe in, oh my god, 24 hours is not enough. I absolutely don't agree. When I'm single, I was doing Photoshop. I'm married now. I have a kid, baby Leah. And I'm still getting things that I would love to do every single night, because the fire that I have in me. I think it's something that you all should allocate maybe a time for yourself, because I think doing this, it makes me so happy. I think your inner happiness is very important, so that it can be reflected to other people as well. You can only help other people when you're happy. So you have to make sure you're happy. I think for myself, by doing stuff like this makes me so happy, and then and I would love to share to a lot of people. I think through my Instagram, and there's a reason why I show behind the scenes, because I want people to know that it can be done by anybody. That you don't have to become a designer to create something. I'm a business student. I can create. Doesn't matter if you wanna, you know, you probably a mom in a kitchen right now watching this. You know, you always wanted to do this. I'm sure you can. It's a matter of doing it. You know, fixing a time in a day. Just if you have a lot of kids, no worries. You know, sometimes, you know, most of the time people say you need 8 hours of sleep. You sacrifice 2 hours of it, it's still okay. Maybe you want to do things that you like. I think waking up, seeing this, you know, at times what happened is that every time I did something, I get up and I'm like, oh my god, did I did this? Because I'm so connected to it. And then there's another thing though. I do find a lot of mistakes at times. And do you know, mistakes makes me so happy? Because I know for the next artwork that I do, I will correct it back then. Because you learn from it. And that's what got me excited. You know, it's okay. Everybody do mistakes, but then it's a learning thing, right? So yeah, if you just sit in front of your computer, go like, oh, this is the best artwork I've done. I think you won't be creating tomorrow.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everybody should constantly learning. Don't wait until tomorrow. That's
Great life
yeah.
advice.
That's never tomorrow. That's true, right? You live today. I mean, it's something that I wanna just share with people.
So good.
Let me try the tiger.
We had Mel just asking what model of the HP are you using?
I'm using the ZBook Studio X360.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is it new?
it's new. I've started using it like less than a year. It's pretty cool, especially when I get to play with my two of my hands.
Makes things easy.
Yeah. Do we have time, or should I show
Yeah.
them the other tricks?
We've got about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, perfect. Yep. I gonna quickly switch. So this is how usually I create shadows, right? I use gradient.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll make sure that. So here's what other designers do. There's never right or wrong. Some people will try to just copy paste this tiger, flip it over, and then try to create again depending on the surface where you want the canvas to be. If it's on a glossy table, obviously you need to see a bit of blurry version of the object. So since this is a very matte type, I want to create a very generic shadow. Just a shadow because the light is coming from the back. So this is how I do it. I'll just color it at the bottom. It's very harsh, no worries. You can always mask and then reduce the brush size. Change it like this. Reduce to flow 60. That's perfect because I don't want it to be too harsh. And this is how I do. Let me just zoom in so that you can see clearly. This is a very harsh area, no worries. It's a very manual work, which I love doing. Shadows. I think when it comes to photo manipulation, shadow highlights is very important. Even though people know it's manipulation, when you have the right shadow effects, it will literally look so real.
I think it brings the whole image together.
Correct.
It's that kind of final touch that
Yeah.
you're going to need on everything.
Yeah, and you can always adjust it by pressing Control T and then Control to just do this, like that.
Just for those who joined the chat a bit later,
Yeah.
do you mind recapping a little bit on where you get your images from?
Sure. Images, I got it from Adobe Stock, and some of the images were also from Unsplash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Let me just go in. Okay, so I'm gonna fix the tiger's lighting. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just duplicate the tiger layer, and then knowing that the light is coming from the back. So again, imagination is very important. Imagine you being there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a light coming from here. Obviously, this part of the area will be dark. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just go Control U. Lightness, I'll reduce it, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I already mask it. So now I will just erase the part where the light comes from. For example, like this. And remain dark for the face because obviously the face is in front. So this is how I think again it comes with practice. You need to literally practice to know what is the correct lighting is like. And then I can reduce my cursor.
Lighting is one of those ones where I think you have to kind of do it a few times and look at what other people are doing to really get a feel for it.
Yes, correct. It comes with practice, definitely. Again, I love watching science fiction movies. I do look into details. I do watch movie 2 times for movie. Reason is because one, for the story. Second, to just see all the details. It makes me so happy to see if this, let's say this superhero landed, let's say Iron Man landed on beside a car. I literally want to see, will there be a reflection of him on the car? There will be. So it's like, oh yeah, detailing. So yeah. It's always nice to watch movies. I feel it's for myself because I get inspired a lot.
Yeah, film's a really good place to start with those
Correct,
things, they spend so much time thinking about lighting.
Correct.
Yeah.
And at times you're wondering if it's real or is it 3D. I wonder where's the green screen, It kind of triggered you. I think it's good to do that one. So now I'm going to just brush just a little bit there. Cool, kind of have that 3D feel. And then I'm going to jump into tapir.
Actually, someone, I think Claudio, mentioned there was a tapir at Taronga Zoo. So I will go try and check that out.
Oh, that's great.
Thanks for the tip.
Thank you so much. So I've duplicated Tapir. So I'm gonna just Command U quickly, and same effect that I've done for the tiger. I'm gonna do that here. I already mask it, so I'm gonna just brush it on top, just like that. Increase the flow. So that's how I do the lighting coming from right, and you can see like it's literally like a 3D-ish. So without the black tint, and then with the trim, perfect. Go in, it's perfect. Zoom out, and then if you, I mean, you at times you can always reuse assets. For example, this tiger's shadow is already been created. Usually, what I do is I usually duplicate. I Command T. I will right click on the layer. I go horizontal and reuse it for other objects. So you save time there. So by pressing Control again, you tilt the whole shadow and then proportion it. I mean, you can just adjust the position and stuff like that according to the animal. Perfect. And then we have leaf over here. So I'm gonna just press Control U to decrease the brightness. Obviously, because the lighting is coming from the right direction, not so much of that one. And then I'm gonna look for myself here. Do the same. I'm gonna duplicate, and then Control U, decrease the lightness. Let's zoom in, and then mask it, and then you can literally see how the lighting looks. There you go.
So you're just putting like a little bit of light
Yeah,
on the edges.
yeah. So obviously the light won't touch this part of the area, so I'm gonna just leave it that. And also I think the photo was taken literally outside my house, where it was literally outside the balcony, and I was like, hey, the light is coming from the other direction, and the visual I have obviously is a phone. I'm sure the light has to look similar, and then because images can be tricky, like the lighting. Photos taken indoor and outdoor, there's a lot of difference to it.
Yeah.
And then depending on how you play the color and tone to match back to where you want to be. I think when it comes to photo manipulation, it's very important to have that practice of, oh, this photo was taken outdoor, but I need it for the indoor, and there will be a tons of like editing you need to do to make sure that it doesn't look like photo that's taken from the outdoor.
It's so hard. I've often been in those situations where you're trying to get the lighting just right to match another lighting, and you can spend hours on it, and then you realize it still doesn't look the same. So hard. So it's a good tip for, especially I guess when you're, when you're making your own assets and you're out going and photographing your own things.
That's correct.
Think about the lighting and keeping things consistent.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just, I think I'm almost done here, and then of course I need to also do that the same for the gassing over here. You go in, mask it, and then you erase only the side part of the gassing. Perfect. And then obviously the shadows is very important, so I'm gonna go in there, fix my shadow right at the bottom of the portrait.
Oh, we just had a question in the chat from Josh, who's wondering how you start such a complex composition, and I think I'm getting the sense that what they want to know is a little bit more around, like, once you've got that composition, like how do you know that that's the right one? How do you kind of settle on that?
Right. That's never a one composition. Obviously, when you start putting things together, I think depending on what do you want to achieve. For example, does it first make you feel like, is this what I want to show to the world? It comes with practice. I think you can have different types of composition. Just sit down and then see it from a different angle. Will a person who is a non-designer, if that is the go-to, like the person who will be seeing later on after you're done, has that same feeling that you have, then yes, go for that composition. I think it's try and error as well. Like, you just need to find out whichever works. At times, probably it doesn't work because you didn't have the right stock image. I think that's when you need to manipulate some of the photos, just make it horizontal or flip it or take a other photo and then place it on top of it, to achieve what you want. It's very hard to find one photo that will make you happy. Yeah.
Yep. So trial and error.
Definitely try and error. Definitely about practicing a different composition will work. I think it would, even if the other composition didn't work, you can always apply it for the other job that you're working on. I think it's all about just review it. Like literally, the canvas is yours.
Yeah.
Like you can just blow it up. Make it really wide, and then place all these different compositions. See if deliver that message. I think that message is very important. Like I said, if there's a concept for it. And then if people understand it and you know better than anyone else when it comes to explanation, I think that's when your, like I said, design wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
And then I'm going to create my shadow. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start from here. Again, I'm imagining the light should be something like this. Go up because there's actually a space in between. I'm going to go up here just like that. And then this. And then I'm going to use the gradient tool. And do that. Zoom in. No worries on the harsh lines. We can always fix it. So that's what I'm gonna do. Increase my brush. And then go in. Do this. I think it's also about having fun. Yeah. I think it's good to see from that angle that you're having fun doing work. You don't see work as a work. And then because then you will lose in creating this, right? I think that's when your soul or you're spiritually connected to your work, and then you don't even realizing, am I actually doing work?
You're kind of in the flow.
Correct.
Forget about everything else around you.
Correct. Yeah. I think it's a very nice feeling to have.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's what I love about doing this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in a role, you're being really creative. There's nothing like it.
Yes. And then that feeling of, wow, did this? I think that feeling when you're done doing anything, I think it's like top of the world.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of done. Wow.
Amazing. Good timing as well.
Yay, we have 2 minutes.
2 minutes left. I wanted to finish on a question that we had in the chat. And Vignesh, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, wanted to know if you could share some ideas or advice for young designers.
Okay. First, find out if you know what you like, right? Once you find out what you like to do, you start to practice. Very easy. You just need to focus on stuff that you like to do. Like I said, right? You try to do research. Okay, have people done this? If yes, then it's time to think from the other angle. Like I said, there's never a 360 that's more than that, right? 360 if it's like all around. Try to see from different angle. Know your style. It comes with a lot of practice. I feel the more you practice, you will literally know what you like. I think that's how I discovered that photo manipulation is my thing. The reason because from doing by altering myself into superheroes, and I was like, oh, Photoshop is amazing, and then but I don't see I'm going anywhere. And then again, when I do that superhero stuff, I know photo manipulation is already there. It's just that I don't know what's the name back then, right?
Yeah.
So because I'm taking few images together and then lump it up together, and then I know that photo manipulation is my thing, and then I recreate the whole work that I've done by creating a story out of the manipulation that I've been doing for past 16 years. Everything has a story, and then it's nice to share that story with everybody. I think it's very close to you, the artwork they've done, because it's very emotional, It's not like, oh, I'm doing this because it's colorful or nice. I think once you have this touch or emotion towards your artwork, you can explain it better to people. Yeah, it's all about practicing. It's a mantra that I have.
Yeah. That's fantastic advice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining in on the chat. Thank you for your questions. Tomorrow and Friday we have Adobe Symposium, which will pretty much be all day live streams. There's going to be demos, there'll be ones on Photoshop, amongst heaps of other Adobe products. Ramesh will be back on Friday, and we'll be talking a little bit about a collaboration he's been working on, which is really exciting. So you can join us on YouTube, and yeah, don't miss out. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you later. Hey everyone, welcome to week 4 of the Digital Product Creative Challenge. We've got Flynn here.
Hi.
We're going to be wrapping up. We're going to be chatting about what we've done the last 3 weeks. It's going to be good.
Yeah,
Excited.
I've never sat on this side of the desk.
Yeah, it must be a strange feeling for you.
It's super weird. It's like
out of
I'm a
place.
talented designer. I'm
You're
not.
talented.
No way. Hi everyone. This is really exciting. So if you've been following along this month, we've been focusing on user experience using XD, but also the process of digital product design, I guess, and like that real world example of iterating, sketching, testing, which you talk about so well. And it's been amazing watching it, being involved in the first one and now coming at the last one, to kind of have a bit of a recap. It's been really exciting, and we know some people who've been challenging themselves and getting involved for the first time in XD, which is cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Peter, because Peter sent this message to me, I think around week 2, and it was, or week 3, and it was such a great message to see, because he was saying that he's 70, he's just learning and teaching himself XD, he's been following along, and that stuff just makes our day. Like, it's so good that people are actually getting a lot from this. So yeah, shout out to Peter, keep doing your awesome stuff. And I think we'll kind of get to this a little bit as I recap and get through to like what's next and stuff, but like I just think, you know, from here, like it's really about going out and testing things, and giving it a go. Like don't it can feel a little bit intimidating and a bit unapproachable. And I know when I started to get into product design, it was sort of, where do I start? And I think a lot about this is, I've been thinking about this a little bit lately, because I think I want to write a little bit about this process, but essentially this is sort of the type of resource that I wish I had when I was starting out. Something that's a bit more realistic, something that's not like, here's how to make this really pixel perfect, beautiful one screen for Dribble, but like, what's the process like, and how do you follow that, and how do you actually do this as part of like a job, and what do you like about it? So I think it's been really good to see people are following along. And I think we did have submissions open for people as well. So, you know, if you do have more things you've been working on from home, feel free to share it. You can share it with me on Instagram, share it with Flynn, like hashtag Adobe Live. Like, we'll definitely look and give you feedback and stuff as well. Like, it doesn't end just this week, and these episodes are going to be up for a while. So keep going.
Exactly. So we thought we might do a bit of a review of this process, and keeping in mind this is the sort of process you can apply to so many jobs, particularly digital product design, but almost all digital projects, or also a version of that. And I guess just on your point before about kind of getting into the field, and I think if we can encourage people that have potentially a graphic design background or a visual design background, or even no background but you're just creative, it's actually never been a better time to get into this field, just with the advancements of technology. If you have a Creative Cloud account, you literally have XD for free sitting in there. Even if you don't, you can sign up to a Creative Cloud account and have it for free right now. And there's all these free online tutorials. So it's really just a time investment at the moment, which has never actually been the case. So there's never been sort of a better time to get involved. So we're super excited about it. And we're also going to finish up with some community tools, like other places to go if you're just starting your user experience journey, or you want to kind of have a look around it. We've got a bit of inspiration as well, I think, some local and international studios for you to check out, which we always take for granted, but then we thought, well, maybe we'll share that with you guys as well. So why don't we have a bit of a recap of the month that was. Yeah. All
right, let's get into it. Cool. So I have just got a couple of slides. The whole session of the last 4 weeks, I've gone through these on my screen, but then I realized I was a dummy because I can just preview this through my little preview button. So on XD, you just preview this, and now we can have them big on the screen. So much better. Only took me 3 weeks to figure that one out.
It's cool. We learned together on Adobe Live.
Exactly. So. Yeah, this is a safe learning space for everyone. Cool. So recap, what we were looking at for this was sketching, testing, and designing a new feature in an existing app. And that app was Wildcard, which is sort of like a banking app or new sort of startup bank here in Australia. So we're in week 4. We're wrapping up and we're discussing things. We did week 1, ideation and sketches. We did prototypes and wireframes in week 2, and then we did production and polish in week 3. we had a problem. So we wanted to solve this one specific problem, which was how might we allow users to easily split a bill with friends. So taking kind of a universal problem and just applying some thinking and process to that. I'm just going to quickly jump into our final, I guess, prototype, which is this one here. So this is where we got to at the end of those 3 weeks. So I've got basically this little notification that pops up that says I've just spent this much and do I want to split it? So I'll click yes. I'll get taken to this page that has the sort of details of that transaction. Split with friends. I might want to add a friend to this split. I've kind of added like a few little tweaks to this since we last spoke about it, just to polish it up a little bit and make the prototype work quite nicely. I might want to search for a particular friend, and then I choose Maddie. So they've been added, and click confirm. I might want to edit the amount on this, so I can just edit that. So I do a little slide to request. Obviously, if you could do more on that, and something that I do wish we could have had a bit of time for was a little bit of like custom interaction work. It's a little bit of like we could really get into that detail, and what XD does have that I really love is that you can export your files really quickly into After Effects, and from After Effects, you can really make those custom slick animations. And maybe maybe we can get into that in like a live stream or something at a later point.
Yeah, we can play around with that because there's a lot you can do.
It's a really big kind of area, and I think there's also some tools that are out there that make it really easy to go from After Effects into apps as well, which I'd love to teach you guys about too.
Just going back, if you don't mind, can you go back just there to the slide? We spoke about this offline as well. So when you were talking about this and giving this product walkthrough, something that was really interesting to me is designing for friction instead of designing against it, which is something I've actually never heard before. And so I was sitting up the back kind of going, oh wow, this is like super interesting, like actually forcing the user, and you can say this better than I can, but in this design, like this interactive element was to actually slow the user down and make them think, well, I'm actually doing something important here, and making you pause and think, because obviously we design a pattern that is so easy to use. We'll just do stuff and then go, wait, did I send that email? Did I send that calendar request? Oh my gosh, like I actually did that. You're actually designing to make people pause, which I think is a really interesting thing about designing for humans and not screens.
Definitely, and I think that also comes from things like user research. So that was directly from feedback that we heard from, and the Wildcard team had heard from people saying, like, I think part of the aim of what they're trying to do as a company is to make these sorts of things really seamless and easy, and like getting away from the like really old style banks and banking apps, but almost it was too easy for some people. I think that's what they were hearing was like they'd get so fast through this little flow that they would have sent the money, and it was like, I don't feel so comfortable about that. And you have to kind of also take into account things like context, and I guess in finance in particular, I think there's a lot weighing on you and there's a lot more at stake. So really incorporating a feature like this gives people a bit of a peace of mind to know that like they're not just going to accidentally send someone the wrong amount. And particularly on like this screen where you're trying to split with different people, you might have accidentally, the default on this, I've set it to basically split evenly, but you might have missed that you can change things or do that. So it kind of just, it gives you that pause, which within a fintech product, I think doesn't happen a lot, and I think it's really cool to be able to incorporate some of those things to it.
As is always the way, as soon as something is blaringly obvious to you, start noticing it everywhere. And I was noticing it in an email campaign app that we use all the time, and noticed that actually that they designed friction as well. So it's like, are you sure? So, which I've been using for a really long time, years even at this point, but I never really noticed it. And I think that's something also that's really interesting with digital product design in particular, is that once you really start paying attention and focusing on things like animation and UI, you'll notice that there are these patterns, and you'll notice that these things are all intentional, and they are designed by someone for a reason. Not always a good reason, but often a really good reason and based on research. So it forces you, and I encourage you guys to do this as well, like if you're thinking about getting into the field or looking around, is to just look at the apps on your phone, like even just the ones that you use every single day, and you'll notice some of this stuff. Yeah,
I think particular as well, like looking at, like in product design, we talk about patterns and we talk about, I guess, UI, UX patterns. So those are the things that I guess exist already that we don't necessarily even notice ourselves doing when we upload something on Instagram. But sometimes when we're creating a new feature, like I'll actually often I'll go to apps that I know that have a huge user base and how I kind of dictating what that pattern is, because then I can feel pretty sure that like what they're doing is probably well founded in some research. People are familiar with that pattern, so it's not going to be completely foreign to them. And I think that's a really good starting point for when you're trying to like design something, and particularly a new feature, when you're sort of looking at like, where do I even begin? And I think using that as a reference is actually really, really cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. So yeah, just to finish this little flow, so they've basically updated this little this transaction screen to say that you're pending this split. I also added this little banner at the top here so that when you get notified that someone's accepted your split request, that comes through and you get a little tick here. And I've also updated the sort of transaction list so that on here I can see that I've split that transaction with someone. And then if I get out of this, there's also this little badge here that tells me there might be some updates on that. And that's basically it. Like, I think when I was kind of finishing up this, there's actually like probably a lot more to this little feature that we need to think about. But really it's just highlighting, I guess, the basics of this. You probably would run into scenarios where there's a few extra screens and things to design. So yeah, I think, but that's basically what we got to. And then what I'll do is I'll just flip back to our other one. So I'll just actually get out of this and get back to, so I just wanted to recap a little bit really quickly on like what we did each week, so that if you missed those, you can go back and have a look. But that might give you a bit of a sense of like basically how we got to that prototype. So in week 1, we really looked at how might we statement to sort of frame the problem that we have. We looked at doing crazy eights and sketches, and we looked at using concept cards to test out those sketches and those ideas that we came up with. We just looked at a little something like these beautiful pieces of art, soon to be on loan at the MCA.
Right. Wow. It's part of Archibald, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, very exciting. Stay tuned. Then in week 2, we looked at taking what we learnt from those test objects, I guess the concept cards, and then putting that into a user flow, and then using that to build wireframes for, I guess, the product, and then prototyping that within XD, which looked a little bit like this. Again, you can go back and look at week 2, and we go into this in a lot more depth, but it's pretty simple. And that's something that I really love about XD is like, it's so easy to flick between the two. Like you literally tab between design and prototype, and you're pretty much there already. You've already got something. And each week this was really about finding ways to give you something that you can test with people. And if there's one thing you take out of all of this, it's like test. Go out, show people, get feedback. It's not sort of don't design in a vacuum. I think that's probably the one thing that, you know, is the biggest risk to designing products, is only designing for yourself.
Yeah. Well, because you never test. I've never tested personally. Never tested anything and not been like surprised at the feedback.
Yeah.
And even if you test with a bunch of other designers, like so often you just be astounded at how often it's the big button down the bottom right corner. Like how
did you miss it?
How did you miss it? But then everybody misses, and you're like, well, hang on. Maybe it's something I've done, and you dig it out. So it's super important.
Yeah, I think that's as well a really good point, is to like design with other people. It's not just about testing with users, but it's about collaborating with people as well. I always find that I do my best work with others, and I really encourage people to like get out and try some of these exercises, but do it with a fellow designer or creative as well.
Yep. Absolutely. And hey, Festus, I missed your little comment before. So how you doing?
So week 3, we looked at taking our wireframes, again, going back, looking at what we learnt from them, and then starting to craft a more polished kind of prototype. So using things like UI libraries, so bringing in kind of our assets and quickly dropping them in, exporting the assets that we've made. So if there's anything custom like icons or additional buttons, whatever that is that we need to hand over to a developer, we can kind of export them at the right sizes, the right formats, and then hand off. So I guess putting that, we talked a little bit about using something called Zeppelin, which is a kind of really great handoff tool that has an integration with XD. You might do it in a number of other ways. I think I talked a little bit about making sure that you talk to developers as part of that handover experience, and even just a one-on-one, like here's what I've done and let's go through it, is great. But Zeppelin does make things a little bit easier to kind of look at all the values and I guess the code that might be going into styling those assets. So that was it. So you got Zeppelin at the top here, and this is like our little final prototype, which I also looked through. And altogether, we sort of ended up with this more or less polished feature that can now start to get integrated into the existing app, which is Wildcard.
So what would you do? My question, if I was in the audience, which I haven't, is what would you do next? Like if we had more time, or what would the next step be?
Yep. Did I include this? Oh, there you go. I anticipated your question.
Actually wasn't rehearsed at all.
No, it wasn't, I promise. Look, I had what's next in terms of as a general wrap up.
Yeah.
I think in terms of what's next, now that I've got this feature, really crucial part is that you're always going to test and learn. Yeah. So the next part of this, if this was, it will be probably integrated into Wildcard, the app. The next part of this is to make sure there's metrics that we get from that. So we're getting data about how people are using it. Once it's live, we want to make sure that we're still going and talking to people and seeing how they find it. And then we're coming back and saying, all right, is this working how we thought it would work? Does it do what it should? How can we improve it? So the thing about product design is and that's what I think is nice about digital. And I come from like branding and print way back sort of background where, you send off your final thing and like, well, if you spelt something, it's done. Sorry. I love the fact in digital that it's so much about, nothing's like perfect necessarily. You get it out, you learn from people, and you can still improve things. So I think that's also like a mindset that I'd really encourage people to take with this, is that you can try something and put it out there, and don't be precious with the work. Don't feel like you need to make it perfect. It's really about refining as you go. And, every week you'll see Spotify and Instagram and like Facebook all updating the apps. Like they're not stopping that process. They're continuously improving.
Yeah, and constantly testing features and things like that. I mean, some of the big app developers will often release an app by itself under a fake name and go out and test it, and then go, oh, okay, that kind of works, and then just take it down and then potentially integrate it within their app as well, or release it as a separate side one. So everyone's constantly testing, because we're changing as well, like the way that people interact with technology, the way that different groups of people from like cultural areas to backgrounds to age demographics, voice, oh my gosh, AI, all that sort of stuff. Like it's constantly changing, that no one knows everything. So the best way that we can do it is to test.
Yep. And then I guess in terms of what's next for, if you've started to make this or have a go at a few things on XD, like I would definitely encourage you to share a bit of what you're creating. And like I said, like feel free to just message me on Instagram. I can happily give you feedback on things, would love to do that. Try the process on another project. And I think like Flynn mentioned, like it doesn't have to be a digital project, but it is a process that does lend itself really well, but you can get feedback on anything. We just had Rames in here who was talking about he often uses people around him to get feedback on his work. And it's like, he does digital art in Photoshop. So it really is something that you should just take from that and keep applying. And I did say, and find a team that you can kind of get more experience from. Like, I think from my perspective, I've always learned the most I can learn from other people. And I would really encourage that if you're really getting into product design and you feel like this is something that you want to pursue, definitely keep learning from these things, definitely keep doing tutorials, but also try and find yourself a team that you can get involved with, because that's where you'll definitely learn the most on the job from those sorts of things. And yeah, keep learning. Like, I think it's a pretty general statement, like standard, but
I think we all are.
Yeah.
On the sort of community thing, I love how you've gone 1, 3, 4, 4.
Oh yeah, that's
just to buck the trend.
I don't like numbers. Yeah.
I'm just giving you feedback so you
Very
can rate
edgy,
on your.
Yeah, I will.
Such a dick. So just on the community thing. So sometimes it can be hard. Like if you're the one designer within a company that's trying to, trying to learn, trying to expand. Sometimes it can be hard to physically have those people. Definitely physically hanging out with other designers will always make you better. But if you can't for whatever reason, I just want to sort of reiterate something that we bring up kind of every time we do XD is the huge XD community, which is a massive global community with lots of people in Australia and all around Asia Pacific kind of area. It is US based, but it's huge. There's like 10,000 people in there or something.
Yeah.
And they do reviews and everything like that. And actually, I might get you to bring it up on your screen just so we have a visual to check out, which is, sent to you on Slack, but actually maybe we'll just type it in. So Discord.
Let me just go to this.
Yeah, we'll just bring it up.
Hold your music.
So yeah, so I mean it's just a huge community. So that's brought from the Behance team and the US Live team over there. They do amazing stuff. They work in the same building as the XD developer team and everything like that. So they are right in contact with them. And whenever new stuff comes out, they talk about it. They get people from the team in there and everything like that. It's pretty amazing. So this is Discord. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's used a lot, I guess, by gamers and things like that mostly, but it's really expanded out because you can just kind of jump in there, create like I guess because you can create like anything avatar, but you still have all the community things, so you can ban people and kick people out. So it's a really lovely community. Really encourage you to check it out. Like it would be, if anybody I know is interested in getting into Adobe XD or getting into user experience, digital product design at any stage, I would recommend that they jump in here. They have moderators and mentors. They do creative challenges just about every day. So we did ours over a month. They do them over a week. So it's a huge, super valuable resource in there, and they can answer lots of questions as well.
I'm definitely going to trawl through this for some tips as well.
Yeah, there's so much stuff in there, and there's so much content, and it's constantly being updated and changing and everything like that. And it's a very giving community, so check that out.
Amazing. That kind of, I guess, segues pretty nicely into some resources and inspiration that I wanted to kind of touch on today, just to wrap things up. I guess when I was starting out, a lot of what I was trying to find is like really good inspiration for like companies that are doing really good work. I started out here by just listing some companies that are here in Australia and also just around the world that I think are kind of doing the best of the best work. They are agencies, so I sort of realised this late last night that I'd only include agencies. And what I did want to do is a bit of a shout out to in-house studios. There is so many really great in-house design teams, particularly at like apps like Spotify, for example, that have really great, I guess, not only teams doing really cool work, but also resources. I know Intercom actually have this amazing blog that they often put heaps of their resources up on. So I think like, while these are really good in terms of the agencies, and they're really good for also looking at like a diversity of work. So if you go onto any one of these, you'll see like a number of different projects that are really, really awesome and, you know, really kind of at that level where they're just doing the best kind of digital product work out there. But also just acknowledge there are also teams within, I guess, those products themselves that are doing really cool work too. So yeah, have a check of them out. And then I had a couple of resources which I want to talk about, and then you've got a couple as well that you wanted to quickly talk through. I just had on here, there's the XD, I guess, just on the Adobe site, there's like a support kind of site that has, you know, it has all the learnings and the videos, and it has plugins, integrations. So that's a really good starting point to sort of figure out like, what else can I do with XD that I may not have already kind of looked into yet. The middle resource is probably one of my favorite resources when it comes to product design, and it's called UX Collective. So it's just on Medium. Every week they've got a newsletter and they send out kind of super interesting essays and articles that people are writing about. So it's really kind of up to date in terms of like the current trends and things that are happening within product design around the world. And it's really, I guess, what I go to when I'm trying to find out how people are thinking about things or learning new I guess, thinking and ways to process things as well. So definitely check that out. And there's also XD Resources, which is another site that I was looking at, which have a lot of pre-made templates and things. So if you're kind of a bit hesitant to get stuck in, really cool to kind of look at what's out there already, download a few, play with them, see what's out there, and then you can start to build on that and make your own.
Yeah, it's all good advice.
So did you have a couple as well?
I did. Did I send, they're in that A little Slack thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll get you to drive. But really, I mean, shout out to Behance. I mean, they're doing what we're doing, but like on a daily basis. So there's so much amazing content out there. I think Festus was in the chat was talking about it as well. They're just doing so much content. They do lots of XD stuff. So it is an amazing place to go. And you can watch the live stuff. You can watch the replays and all that sort of stuff. Amazing stuff. I think Festus was talking about Kyle T. Webster. Like it's for any content. He was just on there as well the other day. And then the other thing is this is letsxd.com. Which is created by Howard Pinsky, who is one of the Adobe evangelists. I think there's like 7 in the world or something. And he's focused on XD. And he does a lot with the Behance team there. But this is like an amazing go-to where do I begin place. So he just covers like certain topics, like talking about how to import from other products, doing things with voice as well. Yeah, it's an amazing website, and I think they're planning on growing that resource over time as well. You know, creating snackable content so you can just do that. It's pretty cool, right? He has like the best job.
Amazing.
Yeah, letsxd.com is really good, and just another person that's out there that's creating YouTube content for design generally is Dansky. And so he just creates video, like basically tutorials on how to for just about every product under the sun. And he does amazing stuff with XD, but also Illustrator, InDesign, and lots of other products as well. So just an amazing resource if that's like how you learn. It's pretty great stuff.
That's an interesting point, I think, because some people are very much like visual learners, want to follow along, whereas others like, I'm a bit of a mix. I'm definitely more visual, but I also like to read a lot about things too, but not everyone's like that. I think a lot of people just prefer to kind of get on the tools and get into it to learn.
Yeah, and some people are set up to have like a second screen where they can have, a whole, someone else's whole screen mirrored, and then they can follow along and pause it and be in silence and take it in that way. Other people might want to jump in and go, scrub along and go, oh, okay, that's how they did it. Cool, great. I'll do that when I'm at home next time. I'm in front of my computer and remember it and whatever. So yeah, to each their own. Just lots of resources out there, and find the one that suits you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
That's my last slide. So yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone for following along. Thanks for having me. It's been really cool. I think obviously these will be up on YouTube, so you can go back and watch all the replays, but the plan when I have time is to kind of thread them all together with a bit of like a medium piece or something, just to get everyone like something you can follow along and see the thinking behind it as well. We've got Adobe Symposium the next 2 days, which is really exciting. Did you want to give a bit of a shout out to what's on there?
Yeah, I guess, we're going live from the show floor. And when I say we, I mean you and Jeremy Lord and also Matt Leach, who hasn't been on Adobe Live before, but I've known for a very, very long time. He does a podcast with me called Australian Design Radio. And you guys are you've got some big days ahead.
Yeah, we do. We're interviewing a lot of people.
So Adobe Symposium is this huge event that's happening in Sydney in June that we've been working on all year. We're working on next year's now as well, believe it or not. And there's going to be all these amazing people that are coming from all around the world, Asia Pacific, but also the US and the UK. And while they're there, we're going to capture a lot of amazing content. So if you are available, check it out. Some notable people that you guys might be interested in is Hoyle Wang, who is one of the developers of Adobe XD. He was right outside the recording studio a moment ago. He's in town as well, so he's going to be on Adobe Live with you.
I'm actually interviewing him tomorrow morning.
Which is awesome, so you get to ask all those questions. And he's going to be on for I think an hour, which is amazing that we've got him for so long. We're also going to have Will Allen on a little bit later in that day, who works with the community team at Behance, which is super cool. I think he was one of like the first employees at Behance or something like that. I don't know. I don't get to interview him, but you guys will find out. And then we have all sorts of sessions. There's Illustrator's going to come on, Dale Begini, who's been on before, with Jeremy Lord. They're going to be doing some time. And there's lots of photographers. Demis Rusley, who did a creative challenge, has been on the Adobe Live many times as well. He's going to be there. He was also just outside the recording studio a moment ago. Rames is coming back on. There's so much stuff that if I went through it all, we'd probably be at Symposium by the time we got there. So tune in, ask questions. We're going to have the chat going. We're probably going to spend more time on YouTube. So if you're watching this on Adobe APAC Live, maybe jump over to YouTube, subscribe, press the bell. I can't believe I'm saying that. Hit that like button, just so that you get the updates and everything like that. We'll be live all day. Everything will be available on demand as well. But if you want to interact with us, ask questions, there's all sorts of behind-the-scenes content. It's big.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot.
Yep. And thank you very much, Liv, for coming on Creative Challenge all month. It's been amazing.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah. And thanks for following along, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. And hopefully you'll enjoy the live from Symposium over the next couple of days.
See you then.
See you then.